Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Sesh. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I got two awesome attacking games that's really going to help you boost your rating. We're going to do an in-depth analysis starting in just a few seconds. So if that sounds good to you guys, remember to hit that subscribe button for multiple videos per week. And let's jump right into this. So, first game, we have 2100 game rating with a brilliant sacrifice, opening the game with d4, d5, and the Queen's Gambit. So my opponent's supporting their center. It's a very common line in the Queen's Gambit. I'm going to develop, applying pressure towards the center. Opponent developing, and I'm going to trade off in the center and go for this pin. Um, threatens, threatening right now to maybe take and take, but maybe not. We'll have to see how it's going to go. This is all theory so far, guys. Opponent defending their knight. We're going to continue on with our development. And now I actually have a separate threat here, which is not to take and take this pawn, but instead I want to undermine their pawn and take over some space in the center. So this move is okay, but it actually doesn't really address the underlying threat, which it would be better instead to kick away my bishop or maybe force me to do something and kind of see what to do from there. So instead, my opponent developing. This is also a bit of a passive move. You don't want your pieces babysitting pawns, especially not your bishops. Um, but it's okay. So I trade off and strike in the center. Now, it's not necessarily the best plan. I'm out of theory by now, clearly. And I was thinking, I could get my knight into the center, have clear development plans for my bishop, and get ready to castle. Um, but it's okay. Opponent takes, and they were worried about losing their dark sword bishop. Uh, Fair enough. So we're going to continue on with our development, give a check. Now, my opponent has a bit of a choice here to either develop into a pin and kind of get put maybe on their back burner a bit, um, or even get their pawn structure just doubled straight away. Seems to be better. But instead, my opponent decides to attack my bishop. Obviously, I saw this move as possible, but I figured this is the natural development square that you want for your knight. You want to get your pieces to the most active squares possible. So inducing this move actually seems good for me. We step back, opponent gives a check. It's okay, we block, and they trade it off. Here, guys, there's no reason to trade this off. You're maintaining the pin. This knight isn't really threatening to go anywhere. All you're really doing when you trade this off is you're helping me to support my center, where before this pawn, although it's well defended, it's a little bit weak. It's an isolated pawn. In the future, you may double up on it, get more pieces, somehow route your knight somewhere. Actually, not as easy as it may seem. Yeah, I'm honestly having trouble seeing how we can get our knight there, guys. It's actually not so clear. It's a long route. I don't know. But anyways, this trade just helps me to support our center. Now, Stockfish actually says best move here is to just castle and hang this pawn, um, because we can play d5 and kind of shred open the king. But I didn't feel comfortable sacking the pawn in this instance, so instead I defended with my queen. Bit of a passive move. Better to go for activity here, but it's not horrible. Opponent castling. Now trying to improve the position of their bishop, but I'm going to jump my knight forward. I didn't want to get my pawns doubled here, so I jump forwards. They try and kick me out, but now we're putting in some slightly improved pressure on the king side. Opponent dropping back, thinking that they're going to attack my knight, but instead I have a nice little move here. Bishop back, great move because opponent can't take the bishop's pinned, so they have to trade, fixing our pawn structure. And now instead of having this weak isolated pawn from before, now we actually have a nice little pawn island. So queen moves back, was attacked by the rook. We take over the open file, and notice how the knight didn't have this square to develop to. That was our plan before. And so instead it's forced to develop for a more passive square, and this is actually going to be a blunder. Now we can pin the knight, infiltrating on the second rank, or, well, the seventh rank, sorry guys. Queen moves. I'm stacking rooks here. Best move, I actually had this move straight away, but I prepare a little bit better, get my rooks together. It's less risky. Sometimes, you might see a move that looks awesome, but, this piece is already hanging, so now you go, you try and do something else, and maybe it works, but then at the end of the line, the king escapes and your rook is hanging. So avoiding some in-depth calculation here. I just wasn't feeling like trying to calculate every possible option and doing all that. I just defend my rook. Still have a strong initiative here. And my opponent doesn't play the only move here, which is f5. Actually, the purpose of this move is to defend on h6. So, opponent pushing a pawn, trying to take some space on the queen side. And there it is, guys. My brilliant move for the game. Now, the reason this move is brilliant is because you can't take this knight, otherwise you hang mate. You can't really push. Oh, you're in check, so you have to move. And now, Stockfish finds an even better move than what I played here, which is to sacrifice the rook for the royal fork. Maybe I could have looked a little bit harder for that. Instead, I just give the royal fork straight away like this and force the exchange. And not only an exchange, but clearing the way for my second rook to get down to the seventh file. So, knight moves, good move, but it's not going to be enough. We're going to come down, forcing this extremely passive defense move from our opponent. And now I was trying to figure out some way to get through here, but it's not going to be so simple to get in here. So I figured I could just go here and here, two moves, and it's going to be a devastating attack because here opponent trying to get their pieces active, but it's too late. And my opponent resigns because if you play h6, we have another sacrifice. And try here, it's just mate. So, yeah, so good game there. Takeaways. We struck in the center nice and early, opened things up, forced out a kind of awkward move, and then castled and immediately launched an attack. Notice how the reason we're able to capitalize on this attack is there's no knight on f6. Normally, the knight on f6 would have been defending really well here, but we traded that off nice and early, and now my opponent also abandoning the king side with his dark square bishop and his queen. So with all that together, I figured this is a great game to just go all out on the king side, which is exactly what we do. So let's jump right into the next game. In this game, guys, we have an awesome ending. So stick around. We have a Sicilian defense, Grand Prix, kind of an early Grand Prix. Chess.com is calling it McDonald attack. So under this line, guys, it's really important that you know this line if you're going to be playing this. Otherwise, you can get into a bad position right away. And the move here, really important, is going to be d5. You don't want to let them kind of get in too much pressure on the king side. You need to challenge the center right away. And this is a mistake. So I develop my knight. I'm trying to buy some time here to see if my opponent's going to play knight f3. Then we can develop our bishop most actively. So I go here. Silly, I don't have this square for my knight. This is like a two-move plan where obviously, knights on the rim are dim, as they say, but if we get our knight over to f5, it's actually a pretty decent piece. So opponent going here, and I decide, all right, I can't wait around any longer waiting for them to develop their knight, so I'll develop my bishop, support my center, open up my other bishop, and I like this move, just kind of, keeping them cramped over here. They'd like to play here, but instead my opponent goes here, which we can immediately pin. So now we're threatening just to win a pawn and also threaten the rook. So my opponent coming out, pinning my knight, but we were planning on castling anyways, and it's not like you're going to take my knight, so maybe opponent should have traded here. Oh no, they're pinned. Yeah, there's really not much to do here. Opponent trying to kind of strike back, but I'll take that free pawn. Threatening to win the rook in the corner here, so opponent drops back. Win now 2 pawns. Opponent sidestepping my bishop. Start getting my other knight into the game. Opponent trying to get some development, but it's really just too late. Apply pressure on the king side. It's starting to look pretty weak over here. And now I saw this nice little tactic, guys. It looks like I can't play this move because they have 2 defenders, but I was actually hoping or planning for his knight to take here so that I can trade it off and get some activity on my rook. So once I got to here, I didn't really see any other way forwards besides to get my rooks involved. So it's, once your pieces are in great positions, I mean, look at my pieces versus theirs. Like, they're all on the back 2-3 ranks. We're completely on top of them, smothering them. So we don't need to get our pieces looking any better. We need to get more pieces. So activating our rook, coming down, and now I'm going to leave this here for you guys. You tell me down in the comments, pause it, think about it. This is going to be our puzzle for the day. How do you end this game here in 2 moves? You guys let me know, okay? All right. If you thought this game was awesome, if you got any value out of this content, guys, please subscribe, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and I hope everybody gets their ratings up and has a great day. Peace.